Well, Tempe police are really reiterating tonight that they will not tolerate acts or threats of political violence of any kind, and they will take these crimes very seriously. They also want the public to know that they are monitoring for potential threats with 13 days left until Election Day. Now, tonight, Tempe Police Chief Kenneth McCoy says video surveillance captured at the DNC shootings led to a very strong silent witness tip. Now, that tip then led investigators to Jeffrey Kelly, where officers caught him in the act of hanging the political signs and suspicious white powder. McCoy says the tipster remembered Kelly was suspected of stealing or destroying Democratic political signs back in 2022, but no charges were filed in that case. Investigators today reiterating that political threats and violence on either side of the aisle has no place in our cities or in our democracy.
Those who engage in political violence or try to interfere with elections or discourage people from participating in the political process will face serious legal consequences. We will aggressively pursue prosecution to protect our democracy and our democratic process.
Now, tonight I did ask Police Chief McCoy if they knew what that white powder substance is and if it was, in fact, a biohazard. He tells me investigators are still in the process of testing it, and Kelly could get additional charges depending on what the substance was. Now, we still don't have a timetable for when exactly officers expect to get those results, but as soon as we have them, we will update you both on air and online. Reporting live tonight in Tempe, I'm Sarah Robinson for Arizona's Family.